it's a pretty fascinating year from the way I look at it. Just so, I mean, there's always pressure on these kids, always, but
right?
Maybe even a bit more. And you think about what they must be going through. Some of them thinking about in the first few months how, realistically, some of them are playing for their jobs with the team, and these are 18, 17, 19-year-old kids. So how can you help these guys cope on a daily basis?
What we really focus on is the togetherness. I learned in my own playing career that the best teams, the best environments and cultures were when we all supported each other and, understood and accepted our roles. I think that's the biggest thing is, every kid that is a part of the Blazers organization comes from being the best in their own organization. And so there's that challenge to adjust where maybe I'm not the best like I'm used to, but how do I accept this role? How do I fulfill this role? And, we really help the kids understand as much as we can about themselves and the challenges that they're going to face. Also the importance of them learning how to be the best version of themselves. And you combine all that together. Now we've got a team that works together, supports each other, can go through thick and thin together, and come out the other side successful.
Yeah, Shaun made a good point about the importance of just talking about it openly, so it kind of normalizes the idea that it's okay to feel a certain way sometimes, and it's okay to reach out to get help, which I know is something that you've worked hard with in your career. I guess the question is that still a battle for some guys to be able to reach out to someone like you?
A lot of the kids of today have their own person, which is fantastic. And for those that don't, it takes them a little while, to gain that confidence that it actually is okay, because unfortunately, and we've really seen it in the last several months, the culture of hockey isn't always the safest place for young men. And so that's a lot of our focus is getting them comfortable in the environment, normalizing the fact that we all deal with different things throughout our careers, and that when we can reach out, ask for help, learn some valuable things. What was a big issue once is now not. Yeah.
And what I'm picking up on from interviews with players and coaches is, and they're already kind of, this is a message it seems like it's being taught to them is how important it is to stay in the here and now and being the present and focus on the process. How hard is that to do realistically, though, especially in a season like this where the end goal is so big?
You know what? It's really not that hard when you're practicing the skills to do it. And, we've been instilling that since Shaun became a part of the Blazers organization. During the pandemic, we were on calls every week, so we really got to know each other and talk about a lot of things. And it has been the focus and the mandate. So, for the players that are coming in for the first time, they're going to see really quickly from the leadership group and the guys who are experienced of being a part of this successful culture, what that means, how to do it, what to do when you're losing control of it, and that all of it is supported by everybody here.
Shaun mentioned something, the SWOT analysis. What's that?
It's a business term. One of the things that we're really trying to help leadership with is prepare themselves to be exceptional leaders, not only in the game, but after their careers. And the SWOT analysis is a business assessment where we just assess our strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats as a group. So we can focus on what we're good at. We can start to chip away at things that might cause us some pain, discomfort, losing in the weaknesses. Always opportunities creates an open and very much a growth mindset. And the threats are something that we need to be prepared for, because it's the reality of life is there's lots of things out there that can sidetrack us.
Shaun, you mentioned the leaders there, and Shaun said that it's been kind of a focus, I guess, in the preseason to deal with them. Is that kind of like the strategy where you deal with them and then it kind of through them, it disseminates down to the rest of the team?
Absolutely. For years, Shaun and I have been working together and taking guys away for retreats and really stressing the emphasis of them being the best version of themselves. And how do they do that? Because what we found is young leadership tends to put more pressure on themselves and try and do more than what they're capable of. And, we really remind them, listen, what they're going to be watching is how well you handle yourself. So that's the sole focus. And the better that you handle yourself, the more of an inspiration that you're going to be to the younger guys who may be struggling with stuff and not have as much experience.
And do you get out here in person, or I guess maybe you haven't been able to for obvious reasons in the last little while here. But do you also get out here and have group sessions with these guys, or is it mostly just through Zoom these days?
No, typically prior to the world flipping upside down, we would schedule the trips. I would come out. Zoom has opened a door where we can communicate more openly and more frequently. So now we're doing a little bit of a hybrid. You know, we come out and do some stuff, stay for the weekend at the end of the year last year, coming in as they were going through the playoffs, and then taking the leadership group up to Sun Peak for a weekend retreat just in August. It was fantastic.
Is there anything different given this year that you've done or your team's done with the Blazers, considering it's a Memorial Cup year, or is it completely just status quo?
We're normalizing the conversation around it. You know, we don't want it to be the elephant in the room. Everybody knows the importance, but we're not going to let it become a distraction. It's a solid plan put together of how they're going to win the Memorial Cup. And if we stick to the plan, if we analyze the plan, and we're doing all the things that are going to make us successful, you know, the fact that we're hosting, it's just a nice perk that we get to win the cup in front of our home team.
Yeah, and how much joy does it give you when you have dealt with players and you know they've been dealing with things and you see them kind of maybe overcome some hurdles?
It's one of the most fulfilling things in the world. As a young guy in their position, you know, striving to be, you know, what they're trying to be, and knowing that I didn't have the skills, didn't have the people around me where I felt comfortable. It's very rewarding to be able to, you know, be that sounding board and resource for the younger players of today.
Awesome. Anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just really look forward to winning a cup. You know, Chloe and I have talked about it for years, and we've worked really hard to get where we're at together, and, you know, making sure that the kids are mentally and emotionally ready. And yeah, we're excited to cap it all off with the ring this year.
What's your relationship with Bob, and how long have you been kind of working with him and you know, with your players?
Yeah, so he's been with us, you know, since I came here. So this is year 4. Obviously, year 2 and year 3 we were restricted, you know, mostly from in-person visits. So we did a lot of stuff with Bob via Zoom in year 2 and year 3. Yeah, but he's been involved since day one. He spends a lot of time with our leaders each year as we prepare for the season. You know, we'll hopefully make a few visits. You know, there's various courses and classes that he has us work through as a group each year. Could be on overcoming adversity, could be on goal setting, you know, various topics. You know, the guys, I think, really enjoy Bob, trust him, and, you know, believe that, you know, what he's offering has a lot of value for us.
Yeah, I was going to ask you along that line, and what do you like about the way that he's able to relate to players?
Yeah, I think one thing that's really positive is that, you know, when we work with Bob, the staff is part of the audience. I mean, you know, Bob facilitates the sessions, and it's not the coaching staff facilitating. So, you know, one thing that, you know, we work on each year is it's called a SWOT analysis. So we go through our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities, you know, coming up, and potential threats. And again, we're with the players during those events. I mean, it's not like we're leading the way. It's Bob is facilitating, instructing, asking the questions, and I think that's a real positive. I think it helps with the connection between players and staff, where they're in a situation where they're both learning together. It's a different voice, and in an area that I think Bob and his team have a lot of expertise.
Yeah, and this team, it's like a fascinating year for me in that the aspect of having a mental coach, just with the end, knowing kind of how your season is going to end, and you know the potential pitfalls and of looking ahead. And I mean, I pick up on it already just talking to guys. If I ask anything about related to the pressure, I mean, Dan DePalma talks about staying in the here and now, and that's echoed by Ernst. And Matthew Seminoff brought it up on his own, just saying, you know, it's not pressure, it's an opportunity. I guess the question is, how hard is it to kind of stay in the here and now when you know what's at the end? I mean, how tough is that? And is that something that Bob is able to help you guys deal with?
Yeah, I think it's probably more challenging for some people than others. I think that's a challenge in life in general. I think there's only so much you can do, about the future. You have to kind of take care of today. I think we've tried to be very process driven here as an organization. There's certain things that we go through on a daily basis, kind of a game by game basis, and just believe that the process is the most important. And if we commit to that, it could be preparation, could be during the game, could be post game, could be recap, evaluation. If we just continuously go through that process, we're going to get better and better. And there's only so much we can do. But if we commit to that and we find ways to continuously get better, then we believe it's going to get real good at the end.
Yeah, and I guess with the pressure side of things too, is that looking at it as an opportunity, is that somehow how you approach it? I mean, just from an outsider's perspective, it is a lot of pressure on a young man. Like you've told me before about it's not normal. Like this isn't normal for people that are this age to go through, and I see that the same way as pressure. And I feel for some of these guys, and even I'm careful about the way I ask the questions to somebody like a goaltender who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not dumb, right? They know what's going on.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that in teaching these young men to handle these types of things?
Yeah, I think make sure we're talking about his framing, and I think that's really important. And as much as they can, let's focus on this as an opportunity to grow. We're going to learn something, from each stage. We're going to learn something from a win. A lot of times you learn a little bit more from losses. So let's look at that as an opportunity, even if the end result of an individual game isn't exactly what we want it to be. We can still learn from it, and actually sometimes more from things that are labeled negatively sometimes. I think support is important. I think we want the players to feel that they have a real good support staff, that if they are struggling with some of those things, there's different people within our organization that they can talk to. Bob Wilkie being one, he's available to the players all the time. So, we encourage the players if they start to feel, uncomfortable with the pressure or the stresses that are occurring day to day, that they reach out. I think a lot of times, people in general, maybe young people, people have a tendency to withdraw a little bit and not reach out to get some help. And so right from day one, with Bob, we discuss those things and encourage players to reach out. I think just talking about things, it normalizes it a little bit, and it makes players realize that, wow, like all of us have been through that, coaches have been through that, players have been through that.
Yeah. And
so I think that helps in and of itself, just knowing that, this is challenging, and I am going to feel some things, and they're going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but we're all going to, work together to try to help each other out. And if players need a little bit of extra help, we'll make sure they get that.
The last one I had was, again, going back to a conversation we had after the season, just about, you feeling like there's one last year that can be reached, and that players have to understand kind of the tenacity and the drivenness that's required. Is that something that Bob can help with, or is that not really a mental trainer type deal?
No, I think he can be part of that. I think a lot of us, and we've spent some time already, back this year talking. I mean, I think that was a realization that it is not easy to get to the top, and that we're gonna have to find a little bit more this year. So, where and when do we find it? Do we find a little bit in training camp? Do we find a little bit, first few weeks of practice? Do we find a little bit in, a weekend series against somebody? So it's all of us looking and pushing to find a little bit more. And I think we understand that, a lot of times that little bit more, it's mental toughness. It's pushing, past places that, we're a little bit too uncomfortable to push before. And so I think there's quite a bit of awareness with the players and the staff, and, the guys returning from last year. We've got a full season ahead of us to chip away at things. And that's kind of our approach. I mean, it doesn't have to be solved right now, but there's an awareness that, what we're setting out to do is challenging, that we're going to support each other throughout this year and try to have a lot of fun doing it. I mean, it can, I think that's half the battle, is just finding ways to turn the competition and the battles and the day-to-day grind into enjoyment. And, so that's going to be part of what we look to do. As we move forward here, we'll be able to assess a little bit where we're at and how much further we got to go.